bus stop along the boulevard. In exactly the location the kitchen would have been. And so part of this was interesting. So we created this act, and then a grandmother, an incredibly radicalized citizen of Taiwan, said, I mean, well, are you going to leave it at that? We don't need art. We need some change here. So we thought, well, what can we do to this boulevard that's being affected? And so we came up with a series of strategies about how this boulevard, which is in the middle, Taiwan is one of the greatest concrete jungles. It's an extraordinary country. It's one of the most radically ecological countries in the world, highly educated. Half of it is concrete jungle, half of it is totally natural. So we thought we need to bring that natural scape to the other side. So we created this kind of complex system of rethinking 2 city blocks and forcing the university to be a participant in that. And so we decided to create a series of public gardens. I don't know how we got this done, with the president of the university, who was an electrical engineer at heart. And we created public gardens by occupying all the rooftops of all the buildings next to this new boulevard with public green gardens that could be accessed by the public, and which now create this kind of ecological bioswale system that goes through the city. Anyway, they go through, and slowly it's become organic. We started something now this last a year ago. People started building another terrace. It's growing. It's becoming this kind of ecological garden. Oh, it's so bad. I can't see it. Yeah. Anyway, there's this green. This used to be. This is an 8-lane road over here. It's an ecological bioswale system. It goes for a kilometer now. It's the largest urban ecological corridor in Southeast Asia. And what you're seeing here are greenhouses that we've given this grandmother's group of highly radicalized grandmothers. Now what used to be the wall of the university for a kilometer, of the National Technology University, is now a shared garden. So essentially we got rid of the bastion wall and brought in the community into the university. Here's a bus stop. People can sit by, they can look through the window, look at the biological activity of the bioswale. And anyway, new gardens we added a year ago. When I went back, somebody was fishing at one of the ponds we had created inside. It was so great. Anyway, it keeps going. And you know, there's species collections now going on. People are doing species collection, etc. And we decided between all of these high-rise buildings to stick in a little radical statement towards this new civic environmentalism, which was a little house that was off the grid. In a city like Taipei, which is highly industrialized, we stuck an off-the-grid house. And this little building is actually an office where students give service to the community. It sits in the middle of what you're seeing, this darkness around, is this garden we have created. We have carved out of the urban landscape. It's connected on the right-hand side to the 1 kilometer of green space. It's now along it. Surrounded by nature. And inside this little building is off the grid. So it's showing that even in this highly industrialized and one of the second densest urban environment in the world, you can actually have enough nature to shift the paradigms of the way a building works to make it a sustainable off-the-grid building. Anyway, when I came for Christmas 2 years ago, they decorated it for me. So. And at night, like the place in Mexico, it lights up and becomes a kind of a beacon. At night, people come from the community, they have community meetings, they meet with students, and here you're seeing a concert performance in one of the rooftops. The local youth concert group has been created. And recently, they have really taken it over the top. They started tearing up all the asphalt inside the university, the students, and planting rice gardens, which is, well, the president said, Sergio, you've unleashed forces of evil here, and I was like, I wash my hands. But we've also done something extraordinary that we've tapped into every bathroom in the entire complex. There's 16 buildings that go along the kilometer, and we've actually tapped that gray water out into gutters, planted them, and by the time 2 years ago, we had a green facade. And not a fancy green wall like you're seeing in Renzo Piano's building, but this is the $12 version. And this is the plans for a new, they're building a new part of the campus, engineering campus. The metro's going along here. we just got agreement from the metro system that they are going to allow a 30-foot corridor along here. Wherever they build a metro now, we include a 30-foot corridor where we can include the urban biosphère system anywhere the metro gets built using Taipei. So sometimes a good idea can help people recover. This is Taipei 80 years ago, and help people recover a landscape they have lost. Here's on the rooftop of one of our rooftops looking up. Anyway, I'm going to jump ahead here. So much to tell. I'm going to end in Katrina because Katrina, of course, it's old news now, but it's also new news, I think, because nothing's been done about it, or very little has been done about it, and it threatens to fall off our table of concerns in the country. And you know, we're in Texas, so we were out there 2 months afterwards helping people who were still in a flooded condition to deal with their situation. And what's interesting is that we started doing this mapping. This is not chaos theory. This is a mapping of Americans' relationship to waste. Because what we realized right away as we went down to Katrina is that the Bush administration had actually given waste contracts to everybody to raise the city, every destroyed building, and cart it off to waste dumps all over the central part of the United States and pack it into the earth. So we had one of our partner universities at Penn State sat down and calculated the amount of waste. It was phenomenal. And then I said, well, actually, a colleague of mine said, I wonder how much waste we produced in America. This was 5 years ago. And we realized that we produced so much solid waste that we could build a wall of China around the entire United States every year and then pack it into the earth and start collecting it again. So we thought, maybe Katrina can be a clarion call where New Orleans, rather than being the source of our sympathy and our charity, becomes a model of where we should all be headed. So we started the Katrina Furniture Project and Recovery Project as an opportunity to salvage all these buildings. So rather than lending us waste, it would end up as a resource for people to rebuild their city. And New Orleans would become a model for the way we should be treating waste. And we started this operation thanks to actually an extraordinary organization, the Rebuilding Center in Portland, that does this to an incredible level. And we created a version that's gone out of control. We just seeded the idea, worked on it for 2 years. It is now city blocks upon city blocks. And we decided, okay, so we have this material, but people still need jobs. So we decided to create what became known as the Katrina Furniture Project, where we took the waste and we began to make the things that people needed. They didn't only need houses or 1,000 churches that were destroyed in Katrina, but they also needed pews, they needed tables to eat on, and chairs, and storage containers. And we created this entire project. And in my first act, I've never done this before, but one of my partners with the Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, we came up with a marketing campaign and a branding, the Project, the Katrina Project, the reconstruction, restoration. They were much wiser than that, and they came up, with, of course, with a much cooler, younger kind of approach, you know, stencils, highly urban kind of thing. And we have actually taken that further. We have now this operation, it's an independent unit, it's grown tremendous in size, blocks in size. Our role has now become one of introducing new ways that the material can be done. We are doing Katrina sheds, which give people an opportunity to have something more than the building that the Katrina shed that was done originally. Then here, the fishing shack for a black fisherman in the 80s. The previous one was a Hope Place. Here we go. And also building houses that are made from the salvaged material. In this case, a house is the one, the Natural Word, which is a house made totally from salvage, not only from New Orleans and Biloxi salvage, and this is in Biloxi, but also the salvage of a Frank Gehry building that was next door. So it's a building that made extraordinary LEED standard because it has a titanium skin. But here, Patty, one of my favorite clients of all time, inside her spade, it's a beautiful space. She wanted no, like these women in Mexico, she wanted no paint, no contaminant. She wanted to live in a treehouse. She said, if I'm forced to live 14 feet off the ground, you know, I want to live in a treehouse, in a place that changes my